Now welcome to another Let's Talk Some Star Wars, where once again this week we'll be responding to some of the questions left on those Thor Lightning Take videos. And I will again be bringing in my wife, Sailor Naboo, for this video. We have a channel together. If you enjoy this video, you might enjoy what we do over there, so go check it out. And before getting to it, just a big thank you to everybody who leaves questions on these videos. It's a lot of fun to do. I hope you've been enjoying these videos. Also a big thank you to everyone who supports this channel or the other channel over on Patreon. We love and appreciate all you guys. Alright, let's get to the first question.
First question from Alpha Bravo. Hey Thor, why do you think Disney has seemingly avoided using alien characters with almost all of their products being comprised of primarily human characters? This one goes along with legends and theories. Hey Thor, what do you think about the fact that Ahsoka is the first major Star Wars project to have an alien as the lead, and why did it take so long?
I think they're afraid of people not relating to non-human characters.
Right now, Disney seems to be in the huge kick of making characters to represent everybody.
Yes, that was the other aspect I was going to go for. First of all, they want to make sure everybody feels represented on screen, and when you really stop and think about it, that's a tall task.
It's a very tall task.
There's a lot of different people who look a certain way or behave a certain way or preferences, and so I think that's part of it. They're more worried about every human on Earth feeling represented on screen.
It's not just represented, but they seem to think that human beings can't empathize or relate to non-human things.
Well, that goes
Despite
back to
the fact that Disney makes movies about animals. What is The Lion King? Nobody can relate to Simba. Nobody can empathize with Simba losing his father in that horrible way, and that betrayal in his family, and growing up alone, and then having to shoulder responsibility.
Well, what's kind of ironic about that is if they don't think you can empathize with someone who is a different gender than you or a different race than you, well, of course they're not going to think you can relate to an alien species, right?
They misunderstand the phrase, I can see myself in that character.
Yeah.
Saying I can see myself in that character usually means you relate to them on an emotional level or like a situational level, not
surface
that
level,
character looks exactly like me, henceforth they are me.
Yeah, that's the problem. I think because there's a surface level connection, it automatically means there's a deeper connection. And I'm going to relate to every man on the planet, which is not true. There's been plenty of scenarios where a female character is far more intriguing and far more relatable than any man in a movie, or vice versa for a woman.
Well, I do feel representation. It is important that we have a nice, diverse cast.
No, that's fine.
Especially in Star Wars, the galaxy is a very diverse place.
It's inherently diverse,
and yet
that includes
they
aliens.
Don't showcase that it's a diverse place because they don't seem to want us to really get into the feel of the alien characters.
Well, I don't think I think you nailed it originally. I think they're more concerned about everybody on Earth feeling like they are represented in Star Wars rather than putting an alien on screen and you connecting to this alien that anybody and everybody should, in theory, be able to connect to if it's a good character.
Right, as long as the character is written well and they have a personality, they have a good full range of emotions, we'll get there. We'll understand. We don't need to look like somebody to understand and to empathize.
In an odd sort of way, an alien character that was featured in a Star Wars movie or show that blew up and everybody loved it would almost disprove this idea that representation is that important. And I'm not saying it's not important to some degree, but again, this idea that you have to literally see a reflection of yourself on screen to relate to somebody, not only is it not true, but it could be disproved by a really good, like Ahsoka. If that show is amazing and everybody, I really see myself in Ahsoka, again, it kind of disproves this idea that you must have yourself reflected on screen, literally or physically, appearance-wise.
And before anyone says anything, Grogu does not count. Yes, he is an important character, but he's just a puppet. He does not really have much of a personality right now.
Yeah, you're not connecting with the character. You're finding him cute and adorable.
That's different.
That could change, but no. And I think in an odd sort of way, The Mandalorian, Din Djarin, kind of proves that a faceless, different type of character can work in Star Wars. I'm not saying people necessarily connect to and relate to him, but he's proof that you don't need a physical face on screen to necessarily work.
Absolutely.
It's an interesting set of questions here, and I hope it changes. I hope Ahsoka is the beginning of a little more of a different type of diversity in Star Wars, alien
exactly,
diversity.
Because it's really cool because you get to see the whole range, then you can now invent brand new cultures and things that are really interesting. If only you'd let go of the fact that we need every hero in Star Wars to be a human.
Yeah, we want to see our own cultures reflected in Star Wars. I mean, that's what they assume. They assume, like, we want to see our own cultures on screen before we see alien, unique, weird cultures that we could also, if done well, relate to and want to explore. It's a
Sometimes
strange
the
thing.
unfamiliar is extremely fun.
Exactly. Unfamiliar is usually more enjoyable than the very familiar.
Yeah, nobody related to any of those characters in Avatar. None of them blue people, because I'm not blue, but I really like Natiri.
You do. And you relate to...
There are aspects of her personality, of course, that I can relate to.
Yeah, because it's a good character. It's not about a physical appearances. It's about connecting with them on a deeper level, and that's what it's all about.
Next comment is from Brandon. Hey, Thor. There's a theory I've heard that Padmé was possibly Force-sensitive herself. Mostly comes from the novelization of Revenge of the Sith, which I'm currently reading. Would love to know your thoughts or take on this theory.
I haven't read that book since 2005, and it's been one I've been meaning to reread because not only did I love it the first time, but everybody just keeps saying how great it is. And I'd love to do a video on it, but I need to remember it better. As for the theory, I hope not. And I say that because it's one thing when a character is overtly Force sensitive and they're doing cool Jedi stuff or Sith stuff. But it's another thing when a character is really, just a good, solid character or a capable character. And you're like, well, she's Force sensitive, which explains any of that capability. I'd rather Padmé just be a really capable person. Instead of saying, well, if it wasn't for that Force sensitivity, she wouldn't be that good. Same goes for Han Solo. There are theories Han is Force sensitive.
Well, I think those are almost true because some of the books that they wrote him in, his luck seems a little too uncanny.
Same with, they do that in The Force Awakens where he does kind of that blind shot and he hits a stormtrooper and you're like, why did you... Don't imply he's Force sensitive. He's a great pilot.
Well,
he's a great smuggler. Just like Padmé is,
The Solo Prelude book did it too.
Yeah. I'm not saying it's a terrible theory or if you like the theory that's bad or anything, but personally, I'd rather just, these people are capable people. They're not Force sensitive to a small degree to explain that capability, if that makes sense.
Next comment from Luca Johnson. Hey, Thor! I was wondering what your thoughts were on the nature of Padmé's death. Should we take it at face value that she died from a broken heart after witnessing the man she loved turn into the most evil man in the galaxy? Or should we believe that through some manipulation in the Force, Sidious killed her? Obviously, there was no scenario in which Palpatine ever wanted Padmé to survive and go on to be an opponent to the Empire. Also, the fact that Sidious knew she died at the end of Revenge of the Sith does seem to point to him having something to do with it, or else how would he know? Both Sidious and a broken heart have plausible reasons for support. What are your thoughts?
Broken heart is more poetic and more Romeo, Juliet, kind of Shakespearean, but it's far more silly.
Usually when they say that, you've heard the stories of older couples who one dies and the other dies shortly after. It's a totally different situation, I feel.
It's a much different situation.
Because she was still young. I feel like she was still, as we know, she seemed relatively in good health. And she had these upcoming children to take care of. It's hard to believe that she would just die.
Yeah. My own grandfather passed away a couple weeks after my grandmother, and he was in relatively good health for his age. Actually, he was in pretty dang good health for his age, and he just went to bed and didn't get up. I think that, you could lose the will to live a lot easier after you've actually lived a very full life.
But I have a hard time imagining a pregnant woman who's really close to having her children is going to lose the will to live, especially when she, reached out and named,
Yeah, Luke, Leia.
Here are my children, the beautiful young babies, and the will to live is gone?
Yeah, that's hard to believe.
I understand that she was so in love that losing him was like losing a part of her, but she has a part of him right there.
I also think the biggest supporter of this theory is Palpatine seems pretty sure she's dead. And if he lies to Vader that, oh yeah, you killed her in your rage, and he finds out later he didn't, he's going to be pretty mad at Palps. So he seems to say it very confidently. And why would he have any reason to assume she had died? I mean, he's not going to assume she died of a broken heart, right?
No.
He's not going to assume that she got choked out and died from that. I mean, it's possible, but he probably didn't even know that happened. So how does he have any inkling that she would have been killed?
Next comment from Michael Fuller. Hey Thor, could director Krennic have done a better job at the Battle of Yavin than Tarkin, if Krennic had survived the Battle of Scarif?
Strategically, Tarkin is far superior to Krennic. However, I think Krennic's caution and being a little more of a fearful character who's kind of, Tarkin is very confident and bold, whereas Krennic is a little more cautious, and though he's ambitious for sure, he might choke on those aspirations. I think Krennic would have been far more cautious and probably, in a way, done a better job at Yavin.
I don't think so.
Really?
Director Krennic isn't a military leader. He
That's
isn't
what I'm
a
saying.
strategist at all. His over-precaution could make the battle swing even faster to the wrong side.
Yeah, but part of the problem with it was Tarkin didn't... Oh, there's no weakness. It doesn't matter. I mean, they're not going to hit that. Krennic may have been especially because Krennic has a relation to the person who built the weakness into the station. He might know, oh my goodness, I've been played all along by Galen Erso. There's this flaw. We should get the Death Star out of here right now, or we should evacuate or something.
But I think Krennic might not run with the Death Star. He might not think, oh my goodness, something terrible is happening. Because of the fact that he's so proud of it, because he has so much to prove, leaving the situation would have made it look like a coward, and then they lose all faith in him. Krennic, what do you mean? What do you mean you left the battle? What, you actually think that this machine could fail after you swore to the Empire it was done? I think he is too afraid to back down.
You're arguing both just get the Death Star destroyed and fail at Yavin?
I think both of them do. Yeah.
I think you could be onto something there.
Director Krennic is ambitious, and he is not a military strategist or a leader at all.
But when Krennic learns there's a weakness or a flaw, again, put in by Ursa, who he knows is a genius, he might actually try to compensate more. Maybe more TIE fighters, maybe something else. Because Tarkin just sat back and like, they're not going to do it. We're good.
But as nervous as Krennic is, he might not want to make it look like he's trying too hard.
I don't know. I think he doesn't want to get blown up. I think Tarkin just didn't believe it was possible, but I think Krennic would have thought there's this chance they could pull this off. And I don't want to die. Launch more TIE fighters.
Maybe, but maybe
and
not.
Guard that shaft with, Well, then again, Vader's at the battle, so if Vader's like, dude, I got this, obviously Krennic's like, oh, I'm not going to...
He might also be intimidated because Vader's at the battle.
Yeah, I guess
You're like,
I didn't...
oh my gosh, if I start second-guessing it, Vader's going to choke me again.
Yeah, if I'm like, make sure there's
He might
more...
be too fearful to do what must be done. Even if he feels that there's a problem, he might be so terrified of Vader in looking like a failure, especially if it's unwarranted, that he's like, no.
Yeah, I think they both fail.
I think they both fail.
For different reasons.
Yeah. One for overconfidence, one for lack of confidence.
Yeah. All right, let's move on.
Next comment is from Richard Ziolkowski. Hey Thor, in the hands of better writers, do you think Rey could have been a beloved character? If they had a well-conceived plan for Rey and gave her a story arc where she was always grappling with a dark side of her personality, but is eventually redeemed, wouldn't that have checked the strong female lead box while still appealing to men because Rey would be more relatable?
I think that checks it better, right? Overcoming something is always more exciting and always makes you feel like a stronger character than just coming out of the box being strong, right?
Yeah. I think there was a story arc for Rey that would have worked. The Force Awakens showed it to us. I mean, her insecurities could have easily led her to the dark side. The fact that she was terrified of being alone, in a sense, missing her family, that she was isolated on this planet and everything. I think that was part of this character arc that she should have maybe taken the hand of Kylo Ren, seen it as, I can't be alone anymore. She rejected Han Solo in The Force Awakens. I have to go back for my family, even though she wanted to stay. If they would have kept running with that, it would have shown an easy way to exploit her into the dark side.
Yeah, I agree. I've said before, I thought her introduction in The Force Awakens was fantastic. The first half of that movie, she is really good. And the problem is she seems to really want to help everybody. Someone who's lived on a desert planet all by themselves should really be cautious and really be selfish, which is a dark side trait, which could have her grappling with that the whole trilogy, and then taking Kylo's hand in the movie because she just wants to be with someone already.
I think it's showcasing, though, her helping everyone. It's her need of acceptance.
Yeah, I think that's a huge thing. Everybody wants to feel a part of something and accepted.
I think that's why she wants to help people, why she keeps doing good.
But you would still struggle with that.
She's struggling because she wants to find acceptance. She's trying to build a family. She doesn't want to be alone. So she helps people, even if it's not to her her benefit.
I think my problem with that, though, is living on Jakku, like, you always helping people is going to be a fatal mistake. You can't just live on this planet where resources are scarce and just constantly be giving and helping, because the wrong people are certainly going to take advantage of you, and you're going to end up being a very jaded person or a very dead person.
She just hasn't gotten that far in life yet, I guess.
I guess.
Because she did used to work with a crew. She wasn't always alone.
Well, yeah, according to because there is a book where she rebuilds a ship and they have big plans and she gets betrayed.
Yes.
So, I mean, if you take that into consideration, that's even more evidence that she should not just be trusting people. so freely and
It
easily.
it does. It's very contradictory, and in one sense you could say yes, she should feel jaded because they took the ship she built. She was just going to trade it to Unkar Plutt for
Yeah.
resources. They took it to live out dreams, so maybe that's why she couldn't feel jaded.
Yeah,
they
left
left the planet to find a
without her.
future. She
Yep.
couldn't. She was staying on the planet to try and wait for a future to come to her.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I absolutely think there was potential with Rey. There's potential with any character.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about how you manage them. And this was just a case of making her a little too capable and not enough struggle, in my personal opinion.
Next comment from Milo the Mighty. Hey Thor, what do you think about the Bad Batch Season 3 being the last one? Me personally, I always thought it would make it to Season 4 or even 5. I definitely agree you should have an idea on when a series should end because the question, can we do this forever, is a question every show must ask itself. But I don't know, I feel like Season 3 is a little early.
Yeah, I always thought 4 seasons. But that said, I think the trajectory that it's on is perfect to end at Season 3.
I
feel
think
like
so,
it's
too.
Yeah, I feel like the whole bigger story is going to culminate next season, and hopefully it's done really well. I thought the end of Season 2 was fantastic. So I'm okay with it ending in 3 seasons, as long as it does indeed feel like the story has been told and ended well.
I think if you don't end in 3 seasons, you're going to end up with redundancy problems.
Yeah, which the show kind of already
Yeah.
does. Because it does kind of...
We go on a mission for... Yeah, it was doing that. We go on a mission for Sid, we mess it up, or things go wrong, we come back. We go on a mission, we mess it up, things go wrong, we fix it, it come back. We have to evolve, and this season, at the end, they of course started to evolve to actually tell a real big story.
Yeah,
for
well,
them.
there were moments throughout the first 2 seasons where you could pluck those moments out, and those are the big moments, and they're surrounded by a lot of not so big moments.
Not so big. Yes, exactly. I think Season 3 is perfect because or else you're going to run into... They fix whatever is going on with them right now, and now they're during the dark times where we know the rebellion hasn't even really formed yet. So they're just going to be going on a bunch of missions that probably aren't going to turn out great for the galaxy. Well, they can't make a big change pre-rebellion.
There is the bigger clone question, like what happens to the clones on the whole, and I hope Season 3 deals more with that.
We know
because
a
that
little
could
bit,
be the,
but yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, we do know some, but that would be the only bigger question I think would be worth continuing into a Season 4 or 5 if that doesn't get answered well in Season 3.
I am curious if we'll see some of the Purge Trooper clones in this last season.
That'd be interesting.
Or maybe the birth of them.
Yeah, because the first generation of Purge Troopers are clones.
They're the last generation of clones, yes.
Which is interesting. That would be really cool if they do tap into that a little bit. And
because during this time, they should be training up Inquisitors right now.
Yep. Well, they should be pretty much ready to go at this point, yeah.
We should be having some Inquisitors coming forth into
out.
the world. We've got some Inquisitors going on. Where are there Purge Troopers already in existence? Or is whatever they're doing right now with Omega and the Bad Batch DNA, is that finishing our generation of clones that are becoming the Purge Troopers?
That could be cool. Maybe that's the whole story arc there with that.
Spoilers. No, I'm kidding. I actually don't know.
That's not a bad idea.
But it's interesting to know what becomes of some of them.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, well, we had a few more questions to go, but this is already running pretty long, so I think we're going to call it here. So apologies to...
I think I stole some of your Hey Thor questions
You were
I'm sorry.
this week you were going. Yeah, it was more Hey Naboo this week than Hey Thor at times. But, that's what we do. We enjoy a good conversation about Star Wars. So if you enjoyed this conversation, if you enjoy this style of video, do check out that other channel. But anyway, that is all we got for this time. Now it is your turn to take to the comments below and tell us what you think of anything we had to say here. Or you can ask a question for a future lightning response video. Whatever you choose to do, leave a comment below. Let's talk some Star Wars. And until next time, thanks for watching.